I was just weaving in the ends of a finished object, and I'm doing it in my little studio area where I film videos, and I didn't bring scissors with me, so I was chewing through, I had to gnaw through the yarn to break off the ends. Not a very organized knitter. Hi guys, welcome back to Alternate. It's Adrian here. It is podcast day, and I wanted to, initially I wanted to do a video about everything that's in my knitter's kit, what I've been knitting in the past, what I'm knitting now, and what I want to get into knitting. And I will upload that video for you, but I thought actually we'd be better off to do something different today. And what I'm going to show you is some photos from a trip to the Aran Islands in Ireland. I went on a holiday to visit my sister and her partner with my family over Christmas and New Year, and it was incredible. I didn't know I would love Ireland as much as I did, but I was really excited to go to the Aran Islands. One of the biggest inspirations in knitting for me are Aran sweaters, very similar to what you see me wearing now. This is a tourist version of an Aran sweater, and while it's still 100% wool from the region, it's quite a lacy knit. It's not at all airtight, watertight like the original fisherman's jumpers would have been. However, I live in Queensland, as I think I've mentioned before, which is on the northeastern side of the country of Australia, and it's pretty hot. I'm actually feeling kind of hot now in this jumper and behind these lights, even though I've sort of pre-air conditioned the room and it is coming up to winter. Anyway, that's Queensland for you. So I thought I'd show you some photos. I've got my iPad here so that I can have a look at them and talk about them, but I'll be overlaying them here so that you can get a better look. And then I will show you my most recent finished object, which is a baby blanket called Shale by Jared Flood. And that's for a new member of the family. I have a rather large family, so there's quite often new members. And I guess I've started a tradition, for better or worse, of knitting blankets for the new babies in the family. And so I'll show you that at the end of the video. So let's get started. First of all, I hope you know where Ireland is. It's in the western side of, western part of Europe, so south and west of Scotland. So my sister and her partner live in Galway, which is on the western coast of Ireland. And there are 3 small islands off the western coast of the Galway Bay, and they're called the Aran Islands, and they're traditionally, fishing islands. And the largest of the 3, Inis Mór, was where we travelled to one day after Christmas. I have fallen in love with Aran sweaters from the first moment I saw them. And when I started knitting, I really focused in on them and thought, yeah, I'm definitely going to be knitting Aran sweaters. The complexity of them was a bit scary to a beginner knitter. And I didn't really get into cable knitting until probably a year and a half after I started knitting. I haven't yet knit one. I did start one, and I was using a brand of wool that I just really didn't want to end up having a jumper in, so I put that on the back burner for a while. Having the opportunity to go to the Aran Islands and see where these beautiful jumpers originated from, and to even be able to step into the 2 remaining shops in the world where it's just purely these traditional sweaters that are made on the islands, was a big deal for me, and it was sort of like a knitting communion, if you will. So let's jump into the pictures and have a look. This first picture is a picture looking toward the island of Inis Mór, which is the largest of the 3, from the ferry. It was bitterly cold that day. You can see that there's a bit of broken cloud there. We did manage to get a bit of both kinds of the Galwegian weather, which was the dark, cold, windy, and then the sun came out a bit later in the day, which was nice to see as well. This was a pleasant trip. It didn't take very long. I think it was only 20 minutes to half an hour, and it was very flat most of the way. So when we got over to the island, there was a smattering of minivans there, and this was the local residents who come down whenever the tourist boat comes in, and they offer a guided tour of the island for €10, which was a very reasonable price, given that they know the island and can take you around, and it's in a vehicle if it's raining or if it's very cold. That might not be an unpleasant option. We did go to the tourist office and they suggested that going by bike could be a good option also. And we found a bike hire place that said €10 for the day. I think that was the best way to see the island, is to, breathe in the air, feel the cold, ride up a hill, stop whenever you wanted to stop. And it was, free from loud or obnoxious tourists, which can sometimes happen as well. And you never know, you might be the loud and obnoxious tourist ruining somebody else's day. But it was just the group of us three. So myself, my partner Reese, and my sister's partner Kevin, who is a Galwegian but had never actually been over to the Aran Islands before and was really excited to visit. So the second photo is of, I believe it is a Church of Ireland. I don't know. It was just a gorgeous sight. It's sort of right at the edge of the island there. And everything is so green. Everything's so green in Ireland. Well, I guess County Clare, County Galway, Connemara, where the areas that we visited. There was another where the Cliffs of Moher are. I can't remember that region, but all beautiful and green. I love this picture. It sort of really captures the essence of the living on the island. These beautiful old buildings just perched right on the edge there of the Atlantic Ocean. These stone walls, they're everywhere in this part of Ireland. And I don't know, there might be some geology geeks out there. It's very interesting that the kinds of stone here, which is a limestone, is not typical of Connemara, which is sort of one of the closer areas to the Aran Islands, but it's more similar to the limestone of the Burren, which is, I think it's a bit further south. So I don't know what the deal is there. So in this video, you can see in the green quilted jacket is my sister's partner, Kevin. And just further on from that, my partner, Reese. He was quite sick this day and just really wasn't in the mood for cycling. And that's probably why he chose the minivan, but he was outvoted and survived. This was obviously a local cemetery, but it was incredible, and it just shows the sort of lack of movements from the island, I guess. And there were basically two surnames in this cemetery, and I should have annotated on this video what the surname was. I have no idea now, and I'm sorry for that lack of information. Obviously, this is not related to knitting or related to the island, but there was exactly one place. Well, no, I lied. There were a couple of places that we could get food. I was dismayed to find a Supermax over on the island, and Supermac is kind of like, I don't know, the Galway version. I don't even know if it's specific to Galway or Ireland itself, but it's kind of like a McDonald's. And it was one of the first places that we rode past when we were driving up the main street. There was a shop and a Supermax, and I just thought, this is not what I wanted to see here. But that was just at the very front of the island, near the sort of main touristy area. Well, not touristy area, but where the Aran sweater market was, and they sell tourist sweaters similar to this one that I've got on now. But there was one restaurant in the center of the island, and it was a couple of women who were cooking whatever it was that they could cook for the day, and there were a few options, and they were simple and they were delicious. Brown bread is everywhere in the parts of Ireland that we visited, and this place was no different. But the sun came out here, as you can see, and we got a little bit of a different view of the island. It's just completely different with that cloud cover, and then when the sun comes out, it's amazing. This is one of the only two shops on the island that just sell the traditional Aran Island sweater, or the Aran sweaters, and I didn't buy one, and I kind of regretted that decision as soon as I was on the ferry going home. But they're not cheap. They were about €300 and €400, I think. I'm sorry if that's incorrect. It was a lot of money to spend on a jumper, and I felt a little wrong buying it when I am planning to knit one for myself, and I think that's what I'm going to do. But then I regretted not providing the sale to the local people who, I guess, rely on the income. It would have been nice for me to give into the local economy. So when I come back and visit you again, Inis Mór, I will be buying some sweaters. You can see them there, hung up at the front door, different colours. And those were our bikes. Of course I was inspired, so every chance that I got, which was not often, probably twice during the whole trip, and it was just a day trip, to get my knitting out and get it finished. Actually, I needed to get it finished because I think this was toward the end of our trip, and this beanie here, which is a cable knit beanie in Knit Picks Wool of the Andes, worsted was for Kevin, and I definitely didn't want to have to send it back from Australia, so I was trying to get it finished, and it was almost finished there. As was the ball of wool. You can see I'm getting dangerously low there. So this picture shows Kevin walking up towards Dunangus, which is a stone fort perched on a cliff 100 meters above the Atlantic Ocean, and it's incredible. It's a breathtaking area. You can walk right up to the edge of the cliff. There's no tourist barriers or signs that break, the view of what you're looking at. And it wasn't an easy trip to get up to that fort either. It was wet as well, and it got very steep toward the end. The rocks were very loose. Kevin jumped across the rock wall and just wandered off into the distance. And then I could hear him shouting. He was very excited about something. And so I jumped the wall as well and went after him, and we found an edge to the cliff that was incredible. And here it is. It's amazing. Just the sound of those waves pounding against the cliff, and you could feel it vibrating up. There was so much power there, and that's Kevin on the edge. This filled me with complete and utter fear. It's Reese on the edge, and it was quite windy, and I just thought, I don't want, I don't know, just that irrational, or maybe it's kind of rational fear of watching someone just slip and fall. And this is, I can't remember how to pronounce this, Pucon, maybe, I don't know. I apologize. This was the second shop that I visited, and I walked in. It was quite a small shop, and there was a lady there knitting, and I asked her what she was knitting, and I was kind of amused when she, bashfully explained that she's really not much of a knitter at all, more of a crocheter. But I thought that was funny. I think she was knitting a blanket. I do want to say about this that at the very front of the island, which is, you can see in this picture here, the shops to the sort of top right, there is Aran Sweater Market, and it's a very large shop, and it's right there at the front of the island. I will say that it kind of bugged me a little bit. They don't sell traditional hand knit Aran sweaters, or if they do, it's not exclusive. There is a lot of sort of machine knit stuff that's made off the island, elsewhere in Ireland, and sent there. What I don't like about it is I feel like it kind of is a bit of a trick, and that some tourists who may know that the Aran sweater or Aran jumper comes from the islands might feel that they're buying a genuine article, and it's not the case. I don't have anything against Aran Sweater Market themselves. I mean, I purchased a machine knit jumper, but in this picture you can see there's a little dog here, and this dog, we were cycling through a street, and there was a mother outside on the road with her baby in a pram or a stroller, and this little dog with them. And as we rode past, the dog chased us, which was fine. The lady called out to the dog, but that was it. For the next sort of 5 or 6 hours, the dog was with us, apart from a few instances where he attached himself to different groups of tourists. But for the most part, he was with us the whole way. He came up to Dunangus with us as well, right up there on the cliff, right at the edge, which freaked me out. I thought this dog was just going to run right off the edge of the cliff. And he stuck with us and saw us off when we were leaving here at the end of the day, waiting for the boat. The Aran Island hospitality was excellent. this is my favorite photo, I think, from my entire 2-week trip away. It just sort of perfectly illustrates that day. It's just very inspiring to me, this picture. It's very interesting looking at this picture. Obviously, it wasn't taken by myself. It was taken by Kevin. None of us had ridden bikes for a really long time, and I don't care what people say. You do forget how to ride a bike, and we spent probably a good 10 or 15 minutes just riding around in circles after we hired them. But we quickly got used to riding on the bikes. It was so painful though. I'm pretty out of shape, and the cycling was a real struggle until it just wasn't, and I was out in the lead and powering through up the hills. I mean, it's pretty flat anyway, apart from Dunangus, but I got used to the cycling. And that was all of the photos that I kept from the day trip over to Inis Mór. As I said, it was a very inspiring day for me, and I will go back. I felt very strangely at home, not just on the Aran Islands, but actually in Galway, or in Ireland itself. Where I grew up is by the ocean, the Gold Coast. It's a very, very touristy kind of area. It's very beachy, very hot, but it's the water nonetheless. And I now live up on a mountain range where there's no water. And it's interesting that I do sort of feel that urge to be back by the seaside, not necessarily in the same iteration as when I grew up, but probably a little bit more like what I experienced in Galway and in Inis Mór as well. So I just really wanted to share that with you. It was a sort of significant part of my knitting journey, and it sort of refueled the fire to continue growing in the craft and sort of getting techniques rather than just pumping out finished objects, just to get the techniques right. So that's why I was sharing that. I also want to share my most recent finished object. I've got my knitter bag sent to me from Nice and Knit. I guess this is a little bit of a sneak peek. My first yarn review will be Nice and Knit yarns. So here it is. This is Shale. It's a Jared Flood design over at Brooklyn Tweed. Really fun, simple lace design. This yarn is incredible. I do love it. It's my current favorite yarn to knit with, and I'll be uploading a review on that as soon as I buy some more from them. All right, well, that's the end of it today. Thank you for joining me for another vlog or podcast. I don't know what to call it. Video uploading is going to be a little bit haphazard in the beginning here, but I am going to try and stick to the every 2 weeks there will be a podcast episode where it's just a little bit more informal, talking like this. And every other week it will be either a review of some sort, a TMI session, or it's going to be the knitting tutorials, and that's 2 videos. One is the quick knit and the other is the unpick. So stay tuned. Please like, subscribe and comment for more content, and I'll see you soon. Bye.